I'm gonna get back when I feel like, when I feel like, when I feel like, when I feel get back when I feel like.
Andrew, great to have you here.
Thanks, Danny.
What were some of your first memories in cricket?
Wow. Goes back a long way, of course. I mean, if I'm thinking about my own physical first memories, they'd be, beach cricket, backyard cricket with my brother, all that sort of stuff. And then into my teens and sort of real top-level cricket, it would be 81 Botham's Ashes. Enough said about that. Headingley and all those sorts of things. But I'm originally from Manchester, so the Old Trafford Test. I was at Old Trafford when Botham was hitting his 140, whatever it was. And
how many balls?
84 would be Viv Richards at Old Trafford. So that was Botham's 81. If Viv Richards at 84, that's still up there. 189 off 170 in 1984 at Old Trafford. And I remember sitting there and thinking, today that'd be slow, wouldn't it? 189 off 170 balls, but back then, never seen before. And we still absolutely got smashed because I remember Viv was batting with Michael Holding at the other end. I think they were about 8 down, and through the 80s, English guys just used to getting smashed by the West Indies. Thought, we've got a chance. Viv comes in, blasts 180 odd, not out, game over.
So that was obviously all your cricket experience in England. What took you to Finland?
A female, yeah. I was early 20s, playing semi-decent cricket in the Manchester Association, what is the Cheshire League these days. Cricket all day long, weekends, evenings. Then, we met in a nightclub in Manchester, and a couple of years going backwards and forwards between England and Finland. And then my wife was, she didn't mind which country, so I actually said, well, let's give Finland a try. So 1988, that was changed countries, moved somewhere else.
And your wife knew what she was in for in those first few years in your cricket addiction?
Yeah, I made the brutal mistake of bringing her along to a 50-over game for the first time that she'd ever seen a game of cricket. And she sat on the banks watching the game, not having a clue what was going on, and that was the first and last game that she went to. So a great start.
Right, okay. so then getting to Finland, what are some of your first memories of cricket in Finland? Did it exist before you got there?
Not really, no. Our son was born in 91, and I can remember it's sort of linked to the cricket side of things. That's pretty much, apart from when I was 1, 2, 3 years old, then it was cricket all the way through my life until I left England. Son was born in 91, so in 92, 93 I was getting already cold feet and sort of saying that, I'm not planning on leaving the country, but I've got to have cricket. And
in Helsinki?
Yeah, I still live 35 years later, still in Espoo, which is basically the next city along the southern coast of Finland, next to Helsinki. And I got involved in playing horrible cricket, which we somehow made into fun, playing on gravel outfields with roll down matting wickets, and it was about sort of creating something that had not really happened before. And that was, we sort of did that through the second half of the 90s.
With expats?
Mostly, yeah. It was basically, there was no cricket in the country anyway, so it was like, well, where you want to start from? And we didn't have a clue, obviously. We just wanted to play cricket, so it was basically trying to find people from different backgrounds, wanting to start something that had not really then happened before. And I think before we knew it, we were the second half of the 90s and 4, 5 clubs, and then thinking, actually, maybe we should actually do something about it and get ourselves organised. Involved then in forming the association, Finnish Cricket Association, in '99, and contact the ICC of what should we do next and all that sort of thing, and it sort of moved on from there, really.
So it was really, it was word of mouth and friends talking to friends.
Very much so.
Before social media. And...
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, Nokia came along, of course, in the '90s. So, but it was still a long time before social media. So yeah, we were basically friends, as you said, word of mouth. Little bits of cricket here and there. We went to a couple of cities outside of the greater Helsinki area as well, trying to sort of get things started, but it was all, there's no infrastructure, no facilities, no real structure. We were just playing friendlies just because people wanted to play cricket, and that just sort of started from there.
Did Nokia need a lot of Indian tech talent to move across to?
Not really back then. I don't remember that. I mean, they probably did, but to be fair, the situation in Finland has probably been in the news the most for the last couple of years, for the fact that everybody's realised that there's a 1,300-kilometre border with the Russians, and having the Ukraine situation obviously being in our minds forefront all the time. Then the culture of the Finnish society, very much so in the 80s and 90s, was quite a closed environment, and Nokia I think was just part of the process to actually open things up. But that didn't mean automatically that there were Indian ITs people coming along back then. I think that was something that gradually phased into something which has become, a normal thing for today.
And from playing at on a gravel field to now having the beautiful Karava cricket ground, what was the process? Is that gravel field now where you play, or is
there are still a few of the out grounds that are still on gravel. We play sort of our lower division matches now on outfield gravel grounds, but in addition to the Karava National Cricket Ground, we actually had a third permanent grass ground that we opened this year through a national multi-sport event involved with the Olympic Committee and the national broadcaster, the equivalent of the BBC, in a city called Lahti, which is about 100 kilometers up north from Helsinki, an absolutely beautiful ground, which is a junior football ground.
It was a good shot.
Yeah, it was. Just missed us, unfortunately. Juniors football ground. They don't really use it at weekends, so they play all of their footy in the weekdays. And of course, that fits perfectly. We dealt with the local authorities with a model that we've used for the other grounds that we've had. And so long as we're not taking anything away from somebody else, we're adding value to the situation and the infrastructure. Permanent strip in the middle of the grass is semi-decent for an outfield. Away you go.
Right. So these are local government-owned grounds.
Yep.
They're not private-owned grounds.
The Karava one is we're on a long-term lease for the ground. All the rest of the grounds are basically municipal grounds, where different to perhaps long-term cricket history countries. Then that's a lot of things that the clubs actually do, whereas we try to sort of consolidate all of our operations to actually become more meaningful to local municipalities, and that's served us in good stead for getting more facilities, which, as we all know, is one of the cornerstones of actually getting more cricket. So it's been a process which we think that we've managed to develop quite well over the years. That's something which I think, from a cricket development perspective, having to sort of approach it in quite a humble manner, not wishing to sort of push in on anybody, because let's face it, we're a minority sport in most of our associate cricket countries, and we have to find ways to bring the barriers down and break the thresholds into the game, and that means that we've got to work with other sports, and we've got to work with the municipalities along that basis.
Yeah, but cricket is growing very fast. And what do you see as the strengths of cricket in Finland now?
Strength of cricket in Finland, I think, I guess because of the relatively short history and because of the way that we started things off, we've almost become a model of a multicultural sport in Finland, and we're probably still the only one, to be honest. We have an office these days in the Olympic Committee, so we're with about 65 different sports in the centre of Helsinki, and I think the strength of what we do is based on the fact that we've managed to build something which is something for everyone. We've got all sorts of different cultures. We've got people from all sorts of both experienced backgrounds, as well as bringing new people into the game, and trying to make that as simple as possible. It's not easy. It's never easy, but hey, what do you want to do things easy in life for? It's it's always something that we've thought that we're going about it in the right way, and the truth is in the pudding, I guess, and it's the way things have moved forward. I think it is the right model. Doesn't make it any easier, but I think something which has set us up in the right way.
And where there's challenges, there's opportunities, obviously. And you're doing a lot with youth development, kids cricket, and female cricket as well.
I think going back to what you said about the strengths of Finnish cricket, I think it's also a Finnish mentality sort of thing. There's a thing in Finnish called sisu, and that's a Finnish word for you, which you won't know. But rough translation is it's like a sort of a gritty persistence and not giving up on anything. And I think development of cricket in a northern country as we are, where cricket is unknown, is something which is, I'm natural Finnish these days, naturalized Finnish these days, and I think there's something that I've learned over the years as well of the way that society works in the country, and getting kids involved from all different backgrounds, having a women's program as well at the moment that we're trying to build on the model that we have for the men's, which is all volunteer based. At the end of the day, the structures that we put in place have all been on creating pathways and creating things that both players and coaches and administrators want to be involved in. I think that's such a massive thing. It's not just the cricket that goes on out there, it's what happens off the field as well. Yeah. And I think that's been something which has been also massively important.
And you mentioned this sisu, winter's quite long. You know, the summer's wonderful there, but winter's quite long. Do you have the opportunity to be training or playing indoors in the winter?
That's I think, on the bigger infrastructure question, that's also something where, if you start thinking about your high performance stuff, as much as your juniors, you've got to be able to have something which gives access to the game all around the year, so you can keep interest. You don't want to lose interest at the end of the summer, because back then, when we were talking about when I started, we didn't have any facilities in the winter, so it was literally, you got to the end of September and you were done. Put the cricket stuff away, dig it out again in May. We've managed to do a long-term cooperation agreement with one of the sports institute in Finland. Finland is a very long country with that eastern border that I mentioned earlier, and there's a network of sports academies across the country, about 18 or 19 of them, and we cooperated with the football and floorball academy in a place called Eerikkilä, and we now have a 3-bay indoor cricket facility again in a football hall. So it's behind the goals, so we're not taking away from anybody again. We can play cricket and football at the same time, or we can use the hall if it's available for cricket for the whole hall. So everybody wins. It's a fantastic facility. Everything else, obviously, as a national sports institute would be. So it's not been built for cricket, but we're sort of piggybacking on the organisation to develop the game, and that is massive for us as well as an in point for the 2 of the 3 largest sports. Ice hockey would be the third one in Finland for pathways, juniors, the women's as well as men's. So it's a visibility point as well as having a quality infrastructure.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you have bowling machines there as well, do you? Or?
Singular, bowling machine.
Bowling machine.
Again, financially, these are the sort of things that develop over time. So we've got 1 bowling machine there, and then 2 bays, and obviously then all of the fitness and S&C setup is absolutely brilliant, and we're looking at the moment on long-term plans for outdoor facility as well, but that's in the pipeline, so to speak. And we've got another sports hall complex which is in the planning stage at the moment, which has also been approved to have a 3-bay cricket setup again in another football hall in a new city. Well, actually, I should say it's an adjoining city to Kerava, where the national ground is. So again, because of the national ground development program over the years, since 2008, I think we started on that one. So that city has got used to working with us and has seen what cricket can bring, and they've now put plans for a cricket facility in their facilities. So I mean, that's great. It's a municipality which is investing in the game, which is ultimately massive for us.
One thing I love about you and what you've done in Finnish cricket is you speak Finnish. Then that's such a key point to integrate. Is Finnish being spoken around cricketing circles, around the cricket communities, or is it a bit of both with English?
There's more than that. There's so many different languages as well. I think it's certainly growing. The use of Finnish. I mean, it's one of the things that we've spoken over the years with the coaching side that's involved in the current squad. Have been together for about the last 3-4 years. Again, all massively passionate volunteers. And we've talked about, one strategic item being that nobody else understands anything about Finnish. So out there, in the middle, want to say something in Finnish that nobody else knows about, then we can chat along as much as we wish. The umpires don't understand either, so chirping is perhaps another one.
One thing which spoke pretty loudly out here not so long ago was the field that you set at the last ECC. Right, it just came to my mind again. Where you can you tell us a little bit about that story?
I think at the time, I think it was our first appearance at the ECC, and the English side were quite clearly streets and streets ahead of us, and we'd played them once earlier in the tournament and got absolutely walloped. And we'd sort of thought the evening before, right, we knew we were going to have to play them again, and we were thinking, right, these guys most of them are professionals, if not then semi-professionals, wanting to be professionals. What could we do that would actually, take them outside of their comfort zone? What would be something that would, our little medium pacers opening up, and what would be something that would actually make the batsmen be thinking, what's going on, and maybe get them to nick off? And we came up with this wonderful plan. The only thing that we didn't include in the plan was that after we'd already missed the first one, we should have kept it in there, because we'd said, let's just do it for the first ball, thinking that it, probably wasn't going to work. Yep. And then when it did, I mean, he bowled a rank delivery then anyway, but the guy went fishing for it outside. I don't know, it must have been probably nearly a wide. He went fishing for it and could have well edged it. So we should have just kept it in there. But
with 9 slips, that was a fascinating moment.
Yep.
And he was pretty close to nicking it.
He was.
Would have been unbelievable.
I think it sort of justified the thought, because the guy had scored hundreds of runs all week, and he went after a rank delivery that he should have just left alone. And as you said, he wasn't far away from nicking it. So that would have been an absolute beautiful ending to that story. But
and then having ICC events in Finland last summer, right? Must have been a great moment.
I guess it's quite strange in that regard, because the first time that project started, it was literally, we were then hit by Corona. So it was the first time we had been given the information that we were going to host for the first time, which was a fantastic feeling. And it was going to be an 8-team tournament. And it was a massive thing for us at that time. Then Corona came and obviously smashed everything. The following year, we still weren't sure what the impact of Corona was going to be, and the ICC contacted us and said, well, would you be interested in hosting again, but 2 tournaments? I don't think that's ever happened before, and I think the Sisu thing that I mentioned before about thinking, well, that's maybe a crazy idea for lots of people. We thought, well, why not? If they like the plans, then what does it make that much of a difference if we host twice? Corona then smashed that one again, so we were third time lucky. And by the time we got round to hosting last summer, we were at 2 events with 10 countries in each one. So we had 20 countries over 3 weeks. And I think maybe the organisation won't necessarily thank me for the whole process, but I think everybody was totally smashed by the time we'd finished it all. But it was also a sort of feeling of having done something for the first time and done it absolutely brilliantly. And hats off again to the team and the volunteers that delivered. And I think all of the countries would have to say, but all of the feedback that we got was that it was absolutely a fantastic event, which was really memorable. So.
And that's Mrs. Scummins, right?
Yeah, my Skamans, and lots of other names of people that got involved.
As well.
Tuomas is in the background there, sort of things that people don't see. Tuomas Tihonen doing all of the technical stuff, which I think when we first cooperated, we were one of the countries that were actually streaming, and nobody else was really thinking about it. Not that we were doing it particularly well, but we were thinking, long term, this is something that we have to do to promote our activities, to have another angle on the fact that cricket is being played in Finland. And I think hats off to Tuomas and the team for actually putting that together before people were really thinking about it, which then sort of led us to an opportunity for you guys to be able to come and cover an event. I think it was Finland and Vanuatu, I think it was the time, wasn't it, in the news at that time? There was nobody else was playing coming out of Corona. So again, something which if we hadn't done what we'd done up to that point, then that wouldn't have happened as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that ground that you play on, it always looks beautiful whenever I watch the stream. Yeah. Does the grass have to be regenerated, reseeded every year after the winter?
I think I mentioned before about the Sisu, the gritty persistence, but also then the key to cricket development is getting local people enthusiastically involved in what we do, and what's happened with the ground development, which has then continued into the municipal grounds as well, has been that we've managed to entice the best Finnish grass experts in getting involved in cricket. It'd be something that they say, well, I'm doing all of the best golf courses, I'm doing the Helsinki Olympic Stadium where they're playing international football, and so those sorts of things. But then there'll be a sort of an add-on saying, well, if once you've done those and you're sort of driving home, you think you could come through the cricket ground and have a little look at what we're doing. So we've learned over the years through having the likes of those types of people involved of how the grass needs to be aerated, and it's not completely reseeded, but we do a lot of aeration, a lot of resanding, a lot of reseeding, but not taking the whole surface away. So funnily enough, if the winter's cold and has lots of snow, that's quite good for the grass, and it doesn't actually kill it all off. Unfortunately, with global warming and everything else, we haven't had too many really cold winters full of snow, so we've had more sort of up and down temperatures, and the snow melts and freezes, and then the snow comes back again, and that's not always good. So you never really know what you're going to get when everything's melted away, and you get around to April and you're sort of going, let's hope that the grass is still good. How much rework do we need to do before the season starts in May?
Yeah, well, the summer does always come, where we know that. And what do you think about the next 5 to 10 years in Finnish cricket?
Wow, I think 10 years from now, I'd like to think that I'd be welcoming the teams back from Brisbane 32 Olympics. I think the Olympic movement is something that cricket is definitely needs to be involved in, and I'm hoping that would be something that a country like Finland, with a massive following for everything Olympic, is going to be interested in. And I think 10 years on from now, that's a viable opportunity for basically the next generation of players from the players on this side, the Finnish Bears that we've got playing here, young Milo Padal and Ruben Danefel and Jack Collins. those are the names that I actually remembered from some of the kids of these players. You know, I think one of the most exciting things about a relatively short history of cricket in a country is that an old guy like me that's been involved since we've started everything off, knowing what we've come from, knowing to where we are today, and thinking about that sort of 10-year ahead. You know, we keep doing the right things. We keep getting more indigenous population involved, which is obviously one of the critical things to do, and you know, setting examples and being involved in events like this one, ICC qualification events for the men and the women, all the things that I didn't have when Finland was starting to play cricket. You know, all those sorts of things which fit into place now to make cricket an exciting, interesting sport to get more people involved in. And I think 10 years from now we'll be seeing a lot more of that and a lot bigger playing numbers than we've currently got.
Yeah, no, fantastic, Andrew. And I think with your leadership, and if we keep missing the huge cut shots that go for 6 just past our ears there, then Finnish cricket's got a huge future. Thanks to the volunteers, thanks to the passion of the players that we see here. It's fantastic. And yeah, just want to congratulate you and thank you for being here.
Thanks to you and the team. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.